Welcome back everybody, my name's Nick930 and this is an early access review for the online competitive arena shooter Quake Champions. Quake Champions is a strange return for this classic shooter franchise. It wasn't explained very well when it was initially announced, and it's left a lot of fans completely in the dark on what exactly it is. And it appears Bethesda is trying to right the ship after E3 2018, and remind gamers that Quake Champions is still a thing, and they made it available to try for free this past week. So what exactly is Quake Champions? Well, to put it simply, it's a reimagined Quake 3 arena, with more modern visuals, new levels, new weapon designs, and a ton of your typical modern online video game garbage. So before we talk about all the mistakes that this game makes, let's keep it positive and talk about the core experience. Quake Champions is a fast-paced competitive shooter that harks back to a simpler time in online shooters, where you simply need to run around a small map, grab a powerful weapon, and unload as much lead as possible into your enemies. It's going to take some getting used to after years of sprinting on the ground, reloading and aiming down sights in games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, but it feels refreshing to be able to jump around the map and unleash a volley of rockets at your enemies. Most of the weapons from Quake 3 have made a return, including the buzzsaw, the shotgun, the rocket launcher, the nail gun, and the railgun. But they also changed the grenade launcher to a tri-bolt, which is more of a precision grenade launcher that fires 3 explosive projectiles at once. They also added a new charging ability to the railgun when you zoom in that increases the damage but lowers your field of view and maneuverability, which I think is a nice addition. The weapons all feel mostly the same as they did back in the old Quake games, including the rate of fire for weapons like the rocket launcher, which many fans will appreciate as they likely have come accustomed to the feel of these weapons. And at the same time, newcomers will appreciate the simplicity and can easily learn the ins and outs of each firearm. There are 10 maps in Quake Champions currently, all of which I believe are brand new designs, and feel about as you'd expect. It'd be nice to see them add in more maps in the future, including remakes of fan favorites from the past, but for now, they all feel well designed with good weapon placement and plenty of verticality that really helps encourage rocket jumping and rapid movement. Quake Champions features 5 game modes, 4 of which are just variations of simple deathmatch with different player counts. There's also Sacrifice, which tasks players with grabbing a soul from the center and delivering it to one of 2 points, where they then need to defend it against the other team's attacks. This mode is okay, and it helps to drive combat into more distinct areas, but I personally prefer the more classic chaotic deathmatches. Alright, so far everything I've mentioned is what a big Quake fan would really want. A new Quake 3 game with better graphics, some very minor weapon tweaks, and some new maps and modes. But here's where it starts to get controversial, and we run into some issues with Quake Champions. First off, the champions themselves. Quake Champions, for whatever reason, decided to jump on the class-based shooter bandwagon and introduce distinct characters to the game, each with their own unique abilities. This is something that concerned me at first, but it's not as bad as it seems. This is not an Overwatch or League of Legends type of game where your choice of character forces you to play a specific way. Every champion in the game is still forced to find weapons in the map, and they all appear to behave the same way aside from a few minor passive abilities. Doomslayer, for example, can double jump, which gives him a bit more maneuverability. Nyx, on the other hand, moves slightly faster, but is weaker and easier to kill. Scalebearer is more of a tank with a bit more resistance, but he's also slower and makes a lot more sound when moving around the map. In addition to these minor passive adjustments, champions also have special abilities that can be activated after filling up a meter at the bottom of their screen. This meter will slowly fill throughout the match, but can be increased rapidly with hits on enemies, and by collecting little hourglass pickup items around the map. Each ability is unique to a champion, and are about what you'd expect. One champion can turn invisible, another can unleash a powerful charge attack, and another can see through walls. Thankfully, these abilities are very short-lived, and they don't seem to change up the gameplay as much as I feared, but they do still feel very tacked on for the sake of fitting in with the other class-based shooter games on the market, and I can see purists wanting to disable the features in private matches. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of the whole Champions design. It just feels unnecessarily forced into a game that's already clearly designed to appeal to fans of the original Quake games. But at least they're not limiting your ability to use certain weapons like Overwatch would, which works fine for that game, but would feel out of place in Quake. What's annoying about Quake Champions is its confusing pricing options. Quake Champions was initially announced back in 2016, and then released for Steam Early Access in August 2017. The game costs $30 on Steam, but Bethesda did reveal a free-to-play option would be made available, that only features the default Ranger champion and a randomized weekly character similar to Killer Instinct's design. At E3 2018, Bethesda announced that the game would be available as free-to-play for a limited time, and players that downloaded it last week would be able to keep it for free. Players who own the free-to-play version of the game can upgrade to the full version for $20 by purchasing the Champions Pack, which gives them immediate access to every character and the ability to host your own private matches. To coax players into spending more money, the game also features the obligatory loot crate nonsense, with tons of cosmetic items and shaders that feel out of place and needless. The main menu is an absolute mess with all this garbage, with several different currencies being rewarded between matches and a ton of pop-ups reminding you to open daily reward crates. That's fine if you want to reward a cosmetic upgrade to players for continued progression, but randomized loot crates are obnoxious. I think it would be better if you received only specific cosmetic upgrades based on actions, so if you wanted a cool helmet, you needed to acquire 1,000 headshots with a railgun or something. Even without the loot crates, the game's menus are a mess. It reminds me of the menus for League of Legends, with a ton of unnecessary communication options and tabs. All we really need is a simple way to invite friends, which seems to function fine by the way, an easy way to join online matches, including an option for a server browser, which doesn't appear to be in the game, and an intuitive but all-inclusive options menu to allow players to adjust their player experience to their liking. We don't need 3 different currencies, a bunch of notifications for new customization options, and daily news tabs. But this is a minor gripe considering you won't be spending much time in the menus anyway. Visually, Quake Champions is okay, but not as technically impressive as I would have expected from id. The game's texture work isn't phenomenal, and the effects from different weapons are lackluster. Lighting is very static, and it doesn't feel that much removed from older arena shooters like Unreal Tournament. The game plays flawlessly for the most part, with very high unlocked frame rates and smooth controls. It feels great, and it's obviously the best looking Quake game you can play today. I did encounter a rather annoying memory leak in one of the matches I played the other night though, that apparently was being encountered by other players as well. At certain angles and viewpoints, the game's frame rate would dip drastically, which in a game like this is a major problem. I didn't encounter this in any other maps, but it's still something that needs to be investigated. Overall, Quake Champions is a fun throwback to the classic arena deathmatch games of old. It features fast-paced gameplay, classic weapons, and well-balanced map designs. There's a few more modern game elements that feel unnecessary that potentially hold this game back, but it still is showing a lot of promise, and for $30, it's worth checking out. It's unclear if Bethesda plans on making the final game free to play, or if they're going to stick with this $30 asking price, but if you're a huge fan of Quake and you're looking for a more skill-based arena shooter to play, I highly recommend checking this one out. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos posted every week.